Hey, what's up, YouTube family? It's your favorite black guy from Nebraska. Yes, there are black people here in Nebraska. So, check it out. Unfortunately, my video editor is down pretty much. The volume on it is very terrible. So, rather than put you guys through that, I'm gonna just go back to the basics. I'm gonna get rid of it because I'm not paying $10 a week for a video editor that's not working properly. So, the content that I have coming up for you guys will be most likely out of this book and plenty of other informative books that I have that I got that I know for a fact you guys would enjoy. So this book, America's the True Old World, this is the most recent book that this gentleman is coming out with. He has two previous books that are a little thinner that's come out first before this one, but this is the biggest one with the most information in it. And I believe that we're really going to enjoy this book. And there's plenty of chapters in here. Like I said, you can go to my shorts where I did a couple shorts where I did the table of contents in this book. And we're going to pick this book apart. We're not going to go in order. We're just going to go based off of the content that I believe is you guys will enjoy the most. So today we're in, I don't know which chapter we're in, one of these chapters. But we are going to talk about Utah being established by Moors. We know that Moors they come from the line of Ham. Ham is the progenitor of the dark races, like the Phoenicians. So we know and understand that the Moors were a melanated people, right? That's the basics right there. So from there, we can know and understand that the Moors were black. Okay. So in this chapter, we're going to talk about Utah being established by Mormons. Fans of America's The True Old World, Volume 2, understand that Utah, Judah, is derived from the pre-dynastic Egyptian Atlantean god Ptah. Ptah, Utah, Judah, was established by the Mormons because it is covered with a Gothic architecture, which is a Moorish or Tartarian mode of craftsmanship, according to a dictionary of the architecture and archaeology of the Middle Ages by John Britton. If you want visuals of how ancient Judah, Utah, looked like in the past, please check out the Mormon temples in Utah, the old hospitals, and the old prisons. Also, check out the world's fairs that were staged all over the world during the late 1800s through the early 1900s. I will also refer you to researchers Michelle Gibson and John Levy from YouTube, since they both have a ton of information on Moors and Tartarian or Moorish architecture. This is a picture of Joseph Smith, and here's another picture of, they're saying this gentleman is making the claim of the real Joseph Smith. Now, we don't understand that with the eugenics movement, a lot of pictures of individuals who were black were changed to white. So that's nothing new. So figure 102 says comparison between the real prophet Joseph Smith versus the fake Joseph Smith. So we're going to go ahead and read throughout this chapter, and we're probably going to come back to that because it's going to point to these pictures. Also, on the next page, we have a picture of Joseph Smith's mother, Joseph Smith's real mother, and she looks like she's an American Indian. Luck Mac Smith, the mother of Prophet Joseph Smith of the Mormons. The shield of Prophet Muhammad depicted as a black man. So let's go ahead and get to this reading. The Moors are the ancient Canaanites, Phoenicians, that got permission from the Pharaoh of Egypt to establish Moab and Morocco in Northwest Africa. But what if the original Africa was in the Americas? I will demonstrate that as a factual later, even though we have already proven that the original Africa was in the Americas based upon the evidence thus far. But which Moab and Morocco, because Africa has a Morocco and a Moab in North Africa? Answer: it was the greater Moab and the greater Morocco that was in the Americas, since this was the biblical Moab, Utah, and Morocco, Illinois. Due to America being the true old world, the East or the Orient, please refer to author Horace Butler and his book, When the Rocks Cry Out, in Volume 2 of this book series, which demonstrates that America was old Egypt and the Holy Land, aka the land of the Bible. As further evidence that Utah, Ptah, Judah was established by Mormons. Please refer to Volume 2 of this book, since it demonstrates that Utah is Judah, and it was part of a Moorish stronghold called Granada land. Granada is Spanish for the pomegranate fruit, which is a symbol of the promised land of Jerusalem. That is, when this fruit is fully bloomed, since it resembles the shape of the six-pointed Star of David. Yes, Granada land was in the Americas, and it covered La Floridas, parts of Canada, Mexico, Central America, and South America. See America's the True World, Volume 2, The Promised Land, by said author. The term Moor means high priest of Anu, according to the Palermo stele from ancient Egypt. The Moors became the custodians of the Egyptian mysterious when Egypt fell, according to the book Stolen Legacy by George G. James. Moor means a high priest of Anu, according to a book called The Teachings of Ptah-hotep, the oldest book in the world, by Asa G. Hilliard. The owl and the serpent/dragon are hieroglyphic symbols of the Moor, according to the Palermo stele from Egypt. See figure 105. I think that's on the next page. The owl and the dragon are both flag symbols of the Empire of Tartary, which makes the Moor a Tartarian. The owl, phoenix, and the serpent dragon represent the wise ones who know who, and supervision, since owls can rotate their heads 360 degrees. The dragon has always been associated with great wisdom and power. See figure 106, the flag of the Empire of Tartary, and as you can see, Tartar Barbary was very Moorish. These figures are going to be on the next page, since it was flanked by two red Moorish flags on its grand imperial flag. The term Moor is also dealing with sea people, aka the Phoenicians, who were biblical Canaanites, since the words like mar, mer are Latinized terms referring to the sea. For example, mariner, mermaid, female Moor, and the sea merchant, merchant, who was the merchandise. You can learn in a later chapter that Phoenicians/Canaanites are indigenous to the Americas. Recorded as Morgan and the rare Morican. This is a truly famous surname of English, Welsh, Scottish, and sometimes Irish, Gaelic, Celtic ancestry. Originally a person name from the pre-7th century, it was spelled as Morcant, merchant, or marchant. The change to the modern forms being medieval from the 14th century. The exact meaning is uncertain, but sea chief or sea defender are the generally accepted interpretations. Did the Moors build these cathedrals and other Gothic structures? Yes, because Gothic building is a Moorish or Tartarian mode of building. The cathedral is built with a Gothic, Moorish/Islamic type of building, and so is Westminster Abbey. In Turner's Normandy, Volume 2, page 250, are delineated several sculptural spandrels from Bayeux Cathedral, exhibiting somewhat of the Moorish or Tartarian mode of workmanship. The word is spelt spandry in the French contract for reforming Westminster Hall, dated 1393, a dictionary of the architecture and archaeology of the Middle Ages by John Britton. Now, this is a powerful quote coming from a master textbook written by a white author that is recognized. The very same Moor priesthood built the castles and cathedrals throughout Europe. Gothic building is castle building. Gothic building was invented in Ethiopia because the oldest castles can be found in Ethiopia. Ancient Ethiopia was in the Americas, which was demonstrated in Volume 2 of this book series. However, I will further expound upon the topic of ancient Ethiopia, which is Ethiopia superior, by demonstrating that the Americas is the greater Ethiopia, or a Ethiopia superior. So these are the figures that we were talking about on the previous page. Figure 105, the term Moor means the high priest of Anu, according to the Palermo stele from ancient Egypt. The owl and the serpent dragon are hieroglyphic symbols of the Moor. Figure 106, the flag of the Empire of Tartary, which features an owl and a dragon, which are hieroglyphic symbols for the Moor. This flag is flanked by a red Moorish flag on each side. Now, The Moorish took Gothic building to Europe and built all the castles and cathedrals throughout Europe. Also, almost all the cathedrals in Europe worship the Black Madonna and Child. And they have the Black Madonna and Child on display as the centerpiece of these grand cathedrals. The Moors left over 500 Black Madonna and Child statues all throughout Europe. The Moors were in power in Europe, therefore we worshipped our own image. Now, here we have Prophet Joseph Smith was a blackamoor. I'm sorry if it's getting a little fuzzy. I'm trying to be able to focus this phone on the text and also read it to you guys at the same time. Let's see here. God, yeah. Prophet Joseph Smith was a blackamoor. Hold on one second, guys. I'm like this stupid dog here. Sorry about that, y'all. Prophet Joseph Smith was a blackamoor. Prophet Joseph Smith, December 23rd, 1805, June 27th, 1844, was a blackamoor. See figure 102. That's the picture I showed you earlier. And he was an American religious leader and founder of Mormonism and the Latter-day Saint movement. When he was 24, Joseph Smith published the Book of Mormon. By the time of his death, 14 years later, he had attracted tens of thousands of followers and founded a religion that continues to the present to present with millions of global adherents. Joseph Smith was born in Sharon, Vermont. By 1817, he had moved with his family to Western New York, the site of intense religious revivalism during the Second Great Awakening. Joseph Smith said he experienced a series of visions, including one in 1820, during which he saw two personages, whom he eventually described as God the Father and Jesus Christ, and another one in 1823 in which an angel directed him to a buried book of global plates inscribed with a Judeo-Christian history of an ancient American civilization. This angel was Angel Moroni, according to the Book of Mormon, was the last Nephite prophet, historian, and military commander who lived in the Americas in the late 4th and early 5th centuries. He is later known as the Angel Moroni, who presented the golden plates to Joseph Smith, who translated the place upon which the Book of Mormon was originally written. According to the Book of Mormon, Moroni was the son of Mormon, the prophet for whom the Book of Mormon is named. Moroni shares a name with Captain Moroni, and much earlier Book of Mormon figure of whom Mormon wrote highly. The Book of Mormon says that Moroni served under his father, the commander-in-chief of 23 groups of about 10,000 Nephites each, who battled against the Lamanites. Upon the Nephites' defeat at Cumorah, Moroni was forced to go into hiding and to wander from place to place to avoid being killed by the Lamanites. Moroni was the last known survivor of the Nephite nation. And I'm assuming Nephite meaning Naphtali, Israel. Prophet Moroni, Angel Moroni, was from Antarctica. Since a 1605 map of the world by Joseph Hall shows the name Moroni as 3 places named cities in 3 different areas with proximity of each other in Antarctica, which is shown still attached to South America with no ice cap. See figure 107. As you read on, you will see more maps of Antarctica without an ice cap to confirm this map. See figures 290, 346, 347, 348. In 1830, Joseph Smith published what he said was an English translation of these plates called the Book of Mormon. The same year, he organized the Church of Christ, calling it a restoration of the early Christian church. Members of the church were later called Latter-day Saints or Mormons, and Smith announced a revelation in 1838 that renamed the church as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In 1831, Joseph Smith and his followers moved west, planning to build a communal American Zion. They first gathered in Kirtland, Ohio, and established an outpost in Independence, Missouri, in Jackson County, which was intended to be Zion's center place. Since, according to Prophet Joseph Smith, the Garden of Eden was in Jackson County, Missouri. Let's go on to the next page. How Did Joseph Smith, excuse me, let me adjust this, okay. How did Joseph Smith imagine image change from black to white? Prophet Joseph Smith was a powerful blackamoor. Unfortunately, a jealous white mob that wanted that power took Joseph Smith from jail in Carthage, Illinois. Carthage equals Phoenicians, and murdered him. And then Brigham Young stole the church. After the murder of Prophet Joseph Smith, his image was changed from black to white. Figure 107, 1605 map of the world by Joseph Hall shows the name Morani as 3 places named cities in 3 different areas from within proximity of each other in Antarctica. Prophet Joseph Smith, the founder of the leader of the Latter-day Saint movement, and his brother Hiram Smith were killed by a mob in Carthage, Illinois, United States, on June 27, 1844, while awaiting trial in the town hall. As mayor of the town, Nauvoo, Illinois, Joseph Smith had ordered the destruction of the facilities used to print the Nouveau Expositor, a newly established newspaper created by a group of non-Mormons and others who had seceded from the church. The newspaper's first and only issue was extremely critical of Smith and other church leaders, reporting that Smith was practicing polygamy and claiming he intended to set himself up as a theoretic king. In response, a motion to declare the newspaper a public nuisance was passed by the Nauvoo City Council, and Smith consequently ordered its press destroyed. The destruction of the press led to public outrage, and Joseph Smith, his brother, and other members of the Nauvoo City Council were charged with inciting a riot. Warrants for Joseph Smith's arrest was dismissed by Nauvoo courts. Smith declared martial law in Nauvoo and called on the Nauvoo Legion to protect the city. After briefly fleeing Illinois, Joseph Smith returned, and the brothers then voluntarily traveled to the county seat at Carthage to face the charges. After surrendering to authorities, the brothers were also charged with treason against Illinois for declaring martial law. The brothers were in Carthage jail awaiting trial when an armed mob of about 200 men stormed the building, their faces painted black with wet gunpowder. Hiram was killed almost immediately when he was shot in the face. Wow. Shouting as he fell, "I am a dead man, Joseph." After emptying the pistol with which he tried to defend himself, Joseph Smith was then shot several times while trying to escape from a second-story window and fell from the window as he died. 5 men were indicted for the killings but were acquitted at a jury trial. At the time of his death, Joseph Smith was also running for president of the United States. Wow, making him the first U.S. presidential candidate to be assassinated. His death marked a turning point for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and since then, members of the Latter-day Saint movement have viewed him and his brothers as religious martyrs who were murdered in cold blood. When Joseph Smith was the president of the Church of Christ, blacks were allowed in the Mormon church. This changed when he was murdered, and Brigham Young stole the church and rewrote the Book of Mormon, where black people were not allowed to hold the priesthood. Wow, that's a lot of information to take. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. Like I said, I'm going to be reading a lot more from this book because this book is great. It's a lot of great information. So I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and soak up that information and soak up some of this good truth. So it's your favorite black guy from Nebraska. Yes, there's black people in Nebraska. I'm out. Peace.